Hey, it's Chris Miles. Today's episode of New on Music Row in the 5 picks of the week. We featured some artists from North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, Illinois, and Canada. Oh, and two of the artists share the name Owen. Plus, we got a brand new feature that we're adding into the episode. There's so much going on. You don't want to miss a single minute. Stick around. All of that's coming up right here on the Rise Network in just a little bit. Welcome to the show. Welcome to New on Music Row right here on the Rise Network. I'm Chris Miles. So happy to be here with you. Today's episode has got a new feature added into it. We're going to be talking about some of the bands we're going to be highlighting bands rather that are in the local area where I reside, the Chicagoland area, who you may be able to check out whether you're in Chicago or if you are in another part of the world and maybe there's a tour for them there. We'll get to that feature. We'll also get to the 5 picks of the week. I've got an artist for your spotlight, your rising star spotlight, all ready to go. And one of the other artists that I'm going to be featuring on the episode actually came from a recommendation from the comments. So all that's coming up in today's episode. We're going to kick it off like we always do, talk about the 5 picks from last week. Had a couple of them that did really well. As a matter of fact, a lot better than I thought they were going to do. So we'll just kick it right off. We'll get right to the Red Clay Strays, which I think last week I said straws, and then I corrected myself in the middle of the episode. People Hatin' is the name of the song. Over 1 million streams already. These guys are on the rise and on the move. And you know what? If you haven't heard them yet, you got to check them out. People Hatin' was a song that we featured last week in the 5 picks of the week, but they've got some other great stuff out there as well. Check out Stone's Throw, I'm Still Fine, Wanna Be Loved, Wondering Why. By the way, just so you know, if you're new to the program, we have a playlist on Spotify where I feature all of the songs that I talk about in the 5 picks of the week. A couple of songs from the Rising Star Spotlight. And then that very last segment of the show is like an artist or a band that I feel needs a little bit more love. I'll throw some music in from that particular artist or band as well, too. So check it out. That's available only on Spotify. For now, we're still working out some details on getting into the playlist up on other areas, but that way you can listen to all the songs that I'm talking about, and they're all right in one area. You could literally listen to the songs while you're listening to the vodcast, as I've called this. It's my new term, I guess. So doing really well. The Red Clay Strays, over 1 million streams. I think it was like 1 million and like 15,000 or something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was well over 1 million, that's for sure. Next up, we had Kobe Calais featuring Maren Morris with Fallen For You. That, of course, a revision, if you will, or a renewing of her song that she released, I think it was like 10 years ago or so. That did pretty well, 318,000 streams. So Kobe's getting a little bit of a revival here on the country side of things. It's got a country sound to it. She took her songs and gave them like a country feel. It's a really cool album. Check it out if you haven't already. Avery Anna was next up on the list. Girl of Constant Sorrow, 406,000 streams. And again, Avery Anna featured her a couple of weeks ago on the Rising Star Spotlight. Somebody you definitely want to be paying attention to as well. Next up, Ashley Cook. I was completely surprised by where this song landed. 1.6 million streams. I'm feeling good about this. Ashley, I think she's finally starting to get noticed. And I think things are going to start turning around for her. And if you haven't checked her out, do so as well. The last song we reviewed on the show for her was Swear Words. Before that, she had The F Word. And then my favorite song from her, Over When We're Sober, which actually is her and, well, it's like Brantley Gilbert and her as well. And then last but not least, great pick, Marcus King featuring Noah Cyrus. The song is called The Shadows. Marcus King's got a little bit of a rockabilly bluegrass kind of sound. A little bit of funk, too. A little bit of Chris Stapleton influence in there as well. 456,000 streams. So everything did a lot better than I thought it was going to. So we're looking pretty good. And with that, we're going to go right into the 5 picks of the week. Like I said, we got a lot of stuff to talk about in this show. I got a brand new segment coming up a little bit later. Make sure you like, subscribe, click, Send, share, leave the comments, do all the things you do, whether you're watching us on YouTube and you're watching the video, or if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple Music. We will probably be venturing out to a couple other platforms as well, too. So keep listening and keep tuning in. Again, appreciate all the comments. Again, like I said earlier in the show, one of those comments has actually led to somebody that I'm going to feature on the show. So see, this. If you were thinking that I didn't read the comments, well, guess what? I do. So here we go. The 5 picks of the week this week. Luke Combs, this one's a no-brainer. Days Like These, new single out by him. You should be hearing that on the airwaves pretty soon. Of course, Luke from Huntersville, North Carolina. So many great songs. We featured Back in the Saddle from him about a month and a half ago. One of my favorites from him, Beer Never Broke My Heart. And then When It Rains, It Pours, another great song from him. Hurricane, the one that put him on the map. So he's got some great stuff. He was at Lollapalooza, a month and a half ago, I think it was. And, what can you say about Luke Combs that hasn't already been said? An amazing artist who outdid the system, so to speak. He was on The Voice, and they told him, go fly a kite. Well, they were wrong. Anyway. I think he was on some of the other shows, too. Tried out for some of the other shows, and they said, you're never going to be successful. Yeah, well, look what they did. Anyway, moving on from Chattanooga, Tennessee, we got Kane Brown, his new hit, Unspoken. And Kane, of course, just pumping out chart topper after chart topper. Two Pair is still out there. You can hear that. Backseat Driver, that's going to be on the radio for a while because that's such a great song. And some other great stuff from him. My personal favorite of his, he's got a acoustic version of Heaven. Check that out. It's absolutely amazing, and I think you're going to love it. And, of course, his duet with his lovely wife, the song there, Thank God, that's a great song as well, too. Moving on, Winter Haven, Florida. This is the part of the show where I said we've got a couple of people, a couple of guys who share the same name, so to speak. So this is Jake Owen coming out with new music, Middle-Aged Crazy. Kind of appropriate if you know who Jake Owen is. It's probably in that middle-aged area. So, but he's got a brand new hit out. Check that out. It'll be on the playlist, like I said, on Spotify. You can check it out there as well. Of course, you can also listen to it if you're watching or listen through Apple Music. You can check it out there as well, too. Some great stuff that he's got in his catalog. Made for You, probably one of my favorite songs from him. I also like I Was Jack and You Were Diane, which is kind of a homage to Jack and Diane from John Cougar Mellencamp. Some other great stuff from him. 8-Second Ride. I don't know why. I love that song. Anywhere With You is another great song from him. And then Barefoot Blue Jean Night is the one that everybody kind of bebops to, at least where I'm from. Moving on, we got Bailey Zimmerman. He's our local guy, Louisville, Illinois. Did you know there was a Louisville, Illinois? Yeah. He's got a new hit out, Chevy Silverado. It's on his new album, so you may have heard it already, but now it's finally going to get released to radio, and I think, you know what a great time to do that. He just came off of his world tour, finished off in McHenry, Illinois. If you saw him, that was a great show, very inspiring show as well, too. The guy's amazing. I mean, just came up from nothing, decided to dump his day job and just go for his dreams, and then his girlfriend was like, yeah, you're never going to make it. And well, he ended up writing songs about her that became #1 hits. Fall in Love, that's about his ex-girlfriend. Where It Ends, that's also another one about his ex-girlfriend. Rock and A Hard Place, Religiously, all great songs from him. And then of course he did a song with Luke Combs featured on called Backup Plan. That's a great song as well too. Bailey Zimmerman, Chevy Silverado are going to be on the airwaves fairly soon here, as a matter of fact, but it's also going to be on the playlist if you want to check it out. Last but not least, the other Owen on the top 5 or the 5 picks of the week. Tailgate This Town is the name of the song, and I'm going to be featuring a guy by the name of Owen Ringling in the Rising Star Spotlight. So we'll talk a little bit more about him in just a second here, but of course, he's from Ontario, Canada. See what I did there? Yeah. I caught this song last week. It came out, and I was looking at it, and I was like, let's see where this goes, because he's got a couple other great songs. He's getting a following, and I think the guy's super talented. And you know what? I decided to pull the trigger on him this week, and he's going to be part of the Rising Star Spotlight. So we'll talk more about Owen coming up in just a second here. In the meantime, let's do a recap of the 5 picks of the week. Luke Combs, Days Like These, I think that's a no-brainer. Kane Brown, Unspoken, also going to be a no-brainer. Jake Owen, Middle-Aged Crazy, probably going to appeal to the middle-aged people. Maybe not so much to some other people, but, he's got some other great stuff to listen to as well. So, and he's just such a great songwriter. Speaking of great songwriters, Bailey Zimmerman, influenced by ex-girlfriends for a lot of his stuff. But Chevy Silverado, I don't think is a reference to a girlfriend. I could be wrong, but anyway, that's the one of the 5 picks of the week this week. And then last but not least for those 5 picks, we have Tailgate This Town rather. Owen Ringling, and like I said, we'll get into him in just a little bit. So those are the 5 picks of the week. Let me know what you think. Go to that comment section, make suggestions. Like I said, there was a suggestion that was made in one of the other shows, and because of that, I'm actually going to be talking about that artist a little bit later in this episode, so you don't want to miss it. You want to stay. If you're the person that likes to tune out right now because you've got the 5 picks and you're like, oh yeah, I got 5 great songs to listen to, you're missing out on some meat and potatoes. You're missing out on some, rising stars, some other stuff that you may not necessarily know. We've got the history coming up, the birthdays as well, and then of course that brand new segment all coming up in just a little bit right here on the show. So stick around because we're going to move right into the Rising Star Spotlight. Owen Ringling, like I said, was the guy that we're going to be featuring. He's from Milday, Ontario, Canada. Milday sounds like a town, right? Like mildew. But you know what? It gave us Owen. So I mean, what more can you say? Of course, Tailgate This Town was the song that we're featuring on the 5 picks of the week this week, but he's got some other great stuff as well. Old Dirt Roads is the song that I heard a while back from him, and that was the one that made me go, yeah, this guy's pretty good. He's got a blend of like country, the classic country storytelling. If you're a fan of those individual artists who used to write songs and like the country storytelling things that a lot of us love. He's also got some modern rock influence in there as well, so expect some guitars and a little bit more of an edgier sound, but it's still nonetheless going to be very appealing to the ear. Old Dirt Roads, of course, was actually inspired by the farm that he grew up on and his nostalgia for peaceful country living. And then, of course, it went on to be certified platinum. So, this guy's got a ton of great songs in his belt. And I think once you start giving him a listen, you're going to turn into a fan as well. Moonshines is a great song from him as well. In My Head, and then Homeless, not homeless, which is actually a song about being out on tour and being home a little less. And then, of course, my favorite song from him, Smoke Man, which actually, believe it or not, he actually wrote that when he was in high school, and it was a project for his music production program class that he was in, and it's his debut single as well. So this is the thing that I want to inspire you with. Those of you that are like trying to figure out what you're doing with your lives, you're going through things and stuff like that, grab that journal, write stuff down. You may find out that you can relate your experiences into songs and create some great stuff like Owen here does. I mean, he's got great hooks. He's got great choruses as well. His stuff is just, it's so appealing to the ear. I would call it ear candy. That's, you got it. There you go. That's your freebie for the day. A little bit more about Owen in case you're interested in him. He grew up on a 100-acre farm out there in rural Mildmay, Ontario. He was heavily influenced by music with his parents. He wrote his very first song at the age of 10 years old. He played it on a toy piano. Oh man, these stories, they're so inspiring. Think about that. Playing on that little ding, 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 ding toy piano and like writing songs out. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but that's really cool. He attended business school right after high school, but he found that he enjoyed playing music more. I mean, you were writing songs 10 years old, playing that little toy piano. Then, of course, he became a full-time musician. He attended the Ontario Institute of Audio Recording Technology. This is where he got most of his career path training from, learning about how having a career in music could be a little bit more realistic for him. He was more interested in rock music in his early years, but then he became inspired by artists like Eric Church and Tyler Childers, and that's kind of where the country music influence came from. And I'm glad because, you know what? While I could see him in the rock genre, I think he would get a little lost. He doesn't have the... I don't know what the right wording is. He just doesn't have that like edgy feel to him, He feels like the kind of guy that you could go up and like approach and like have a conversation with. Not that you couldn't do that with some of the rock musicians, but they have a little bit more of an aura about them. Let's put it that way. He's won some. He's already won some accolades as well. He won the Boots and Hearts Music Festival's Emerging Artist Competition in 2022. That also helped launch his career. He's been on the road like nonstop. He's a true road warrior. He's played over 110 shows across Canada in 2024, headlining some headlining some of those shows as well. He's open for artists like Luke Bryan. He had a small tour that he went on across Canada, performed a bunch of free shows as an ode to his small town roots. And then, like I said, that song Old Dirt Roads was inspired by his life on the farm and, of course, all of his nostalgia for peaceful country living. So a guy that I think is just going to keep popping them out as far as chart toppers are concerned, and great story writing or country story writing songs, storytelling songs rather, and great story writing as well too. Owen Ringling, somebody you should be putting on your like list. Take a look at him, listen to some of his stuff. Tell me what you think. He is the Rising Star Spotlight of the week, and of course, like I said, his new song "Tailgate This Town." When I looked at it already from last week, I think it had over 400,000 streams already. So this is a guy who is, he's making that turn, and I think sooner or later you're going to be seeing him, probably doing headlining shows across like the United States. So take a listen to him now, and then you can thank me later when you're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy when. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. All right, let's move on. Taking a look at the birthdays for today. What is it? October the 10th. And sorry, I got lost there. This is what happens when you get old. Sometimes you forget your dates. It just happens. It slips, and then you go, oh, what was that? Yeah, okay. Anyway, I won't forget, though. I'm born on this date, 1957. A guy by the name of Tony Arata. You probably don't really know him. That's because he's a singer-songwriter. He's done some great stuff, written some great stuff. He wrote The Dance for Garth Brooks. He's written for Patty Loveless, Trisha Yearwood, Jim Glazier, Reba McEntire, Hal Ketchum, Oak Ridge Boys, Randy Travis, Emmylou Harris. I mean, the guy is just chart topper after chart topper after chart topper. Of course, born today, October 10th, 1957. Happy birthday to you, Tony. And then moving on, a little gal by the name of Tanya Tucker. Yeah, she was born in, did you know she was born in Seminole, Texas? Yeah. Of course, Delta Dawn, her number one first hit in 1972. She was 13 years old. She's got a ton of other hits as well. What's Your Mama's Name? Blood Red and Going Down. Lizzie and the Rain Man. 1988, Strong Enough to Bend. And then she started her own reality TV show, Tuckerville. It was on the Learning Channel in 2005. You remember that? It was only on for 2 seasons. It had a total of 18 episodes. I remember watching it. I remember I was so like, oh, we got to get cable. We got to get cable. We had it, but where I was, it wasn't like a thing just yet. Meaning we had some channels, but we didn't have everything else. I grew up in one of those homes where it was like, you don't need cable. Anyway, like Pink Floyd said, there's 13 channels of you-know-what on the TV to choose from. More when you got cable. But anyway, I digress. Happy birthday, Tanya Tucker. Of course, born on this date, October 10th, 1958. So what happened in country music history on this day? Well, Johnny Cash in 1977, he hosted the 11th annual CMA Awards at the Grand Ole Opry. Winners included Crystal Gayle, who won Female Vocalist of the Year. Kenny Rogers won Single of the Year for Lucille. Ronnie Millsap won Entertainer of the Year. Ronnie Millsap's another artist to check out if you haven't checked him out just yet. Crystal Gayle, Dolly Parton, Loretta Lynn, and Conway Twitty all performed during the live show. And this is October 10th seems to be the date when a lot of these CMA award shows came on. There was a couple other ones in the history section that I was looking up, but I was just going to highlight that one because Johnny Cash hosted it. Moving on to 2012, the American musical drama television series Nashville appeared on ABC. It reached 8.93 million viewers. The series featured Connie Britton as Raina James, a legendary country music superstar whose stardom begins fading. Hayden Panettiere was in the show as well. She was the rising teen star Juliet Barnes. Did you watch that? I watched it. It was one of every night that it was on. I had ABC on and I was watching it because I wanted to see what was going to happen. And I was kind of a Hayden Panettiere fan because I think that was just after Heroes and I was into Heroes and stuff. So really, really interesting show. You should check it out if you haven't had a chance to watch it. It's kind of an interesting look at the rise and fall of a country music star. On this date, October 10th, 2014, Taylor Swift was named Billboard's Women of the Year for 2014. It was her first, giving her the first artist to receive, she was the first artist to receive the award twice, rather. It's given to the female artist who has shaped and inspired the music industry with her success, leadership, and innovation over, of course, the last year. I think she's won it a couple other times as well, too. But, she's on to bigger and better things, although, according to what I read recently, she's not going to be performing in a Super Bowl halftime show anytime soon. Sorry, Swifties. Last but not least, 2020, Carrie Underwood was #1 on the U.S. country charts with her 7th studio album and her first Christmas album, My Gift. It made Underwood the first artist to place 8 consecutive #1 albums on the top country albums chart. So there's a look at country music history on this date, of course, October 10th. Moving on, here is the audience participation part of the show. Why do I say that? Because somebody commented in the comments on, I think it was YouTube, if I remember correctly, asking me if I had heard 1800 Miles from a guy by the name of Coulter Wall. Now, I had heard of Coulter already because he's got a very distinct voice. And when I first heard him, I was like, oh man, he's got some Cash, resonation in his voice. And so, as he writes some stuff, kind of like the way Cash does, a lot of grittiness and stuff. And I was like, oh man, this guy could really have a thing for himself because he's just got that really deep, like, bass voice that just kind of gets you in the soul. But he is the artist in the weekly pick, somebody I think you should take a listen to. He's got a new album coming out on November 14th. It's called Memories and Empties. 1800 Miles is the latest track off of it. I'm looking forward to hearing some other stuff from the album as well because I like this guy. I like some of the other stuff that he's done. I like his songwriting. I love his performance. Like I said, he gave me Johnny Cash vibes the first time I heard him. Check out Sleeping on the Blacktop and The Devil Wears a Suit and Tie. Some songs that I like from him. The Sleeping on the Blacktop has been the one that's been on repeat this whole week. Now, Coulter Wall is from Swift Current, Saskatchewan, Canada. If you don't know where that is, look it up on a map. If you don't know how to use a map, well, then there's always Google Maps. Anyway, he's got an interesting story. He's a politician's son. His father, Brad Wall, served as the primer of Saskatchewan, or probably the premier of Saskatchewan, Canada, from 2007 to 2018. He was featured in a couple of major TV shows and films. His songs have been used in Yellowstone, Dog the Bounty Hunter, and Chaos. He's also been in a couple of films. Some of his stuff's been in films, Hell or High Water and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And you know what? He's a real-life rancher. He balances his work-life balance, I guess you could call it, probably life-work balance, because he is a rancher in real life. Like, that's what he does. That's his career. He owns his own herd of cattle. He works on ranches in his native Saskatchewan. And then, of course, he's writing songs and doing all his things. He's inspired by Bob Dylan, and you can totally hear that inspiration in his songs. He learned rock music on the guitar. He played songs from bands like AC/DC. After he heard Bob Dylan's Don't Think Twice, It's All Right in high school, that's pretty much where he started writing his own stuff. Now, he does like to listen to vinyl records, which thumbs up for that. There's nothing like a good old vinyl playing in the background. I don't know what it is. There's a tone that you can't get from like digital music that you can get off of vinyl. It seeps into your soul. If you haven't listened to something on vinyl yet, do yourself a favor and take a listen to that. I think you're gonna, if you're an audiophile, I think that's really gonna be a life changer for you. He believes that albums should be heard from start to finish, like reading a novel, which is kind of what we used to do back in the day. I would get, you'd go to the record store, you'd get your favorite artist's album, and you'd literally just play one side, and then you'd flip it over and play the other side. Or if you were like me and you bought a couple of albums, they used to have this little, in the little pin that you used to put the records in, there used to be this other little, like, mechanism that you could push in that would hold records on top of it. And then when that first record was done, that pin would move, the needle would move out of the way, obviously, and it would drop the next record, and then it would start playing the next record. So you literally didn't have to do anything. The only problem was, of course, is that If you wanted to hear the other side of the first album you listened to, well, you either had to flip it over or you had to buy a second copy. And like I said, his voice is signature. He's famous for his deep, resonating baritone voice. He's been described as haunting and full of hard-won wisdom. See where I said like the Johnny Cash thing? There you go. You'll be shocked by him, the maturity of his voice. He's very young, and his voice, I mean, okay, I'm just going to say this. He sounds like he smoked like 16 packs of cigarettes a day. And that's like the resonation. I don't think he smoked, but that's just the way his voice sounds. He's got a ton of fans. Jason Momoa, even some famous ones. Jason Momoa, Post Malone, they're fans of him as well. So this guy has caught the ear of the right people. And I'm trying to hopefully have him catch your ear as well, too. He politely declined to be on the Joe Rogan Experience due to his busy scheduling focus on his ranch life at the time. His first full-length album was produced by a music legend. It's the 2017 self-titled debut. It was produced by Grammy winner David Cobb in Nashville's famed RCA studio. And like I said, I mean, he's just got that old country vibe to his voice. It's that deep baritone. It's got some bass qualities to it as well, too. But you know what? I'm telling you, put on Sleeping on the Blacktop and then put on that whole album. And listen to it from front to back. Although if you're probably listening to it on digital, you don't know where it stops and where the A side stops and where the B side begins. But hey, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you, if you give Coulter Wall a listen, you're going to fall in love with him as well. And again, thank you so much for the comments in the comment section. Led to this segment of the show. So there you go. I do read the comments. There you go. And then last but not least, here's the new portion of the show. We decided that since we're in the Chicagoland area, we're going to talk about some shows that are coming out this weekend, maybe focus on some shows that are coming out next week as well, too. But there are some great shows coming out this weekend, so if you're not doing anything, take a look at some of these things. I'm going to be in Rosemont, as a matter of fact, later on tonight. I'm going to be checking out Mackenzie Carpenter as well as Vincent Mason. We featured him on the show, so I'll have some video from him as well to post up on our special little video segments as well. Also at Empty Bottle, check out the Hoyle Brothers. Those guys got some great stuff. Another, up and coming artist. Haley Winters, who had a couple of radio hits already. She's going to be at Joe's on Weed Street. These are all on Friday night. So tonight, tickets are still available for some of these shows, although they're very limited quantities. So if you do want to get out there, make sure you get out there pronto. And then last but not least, tomorrow, Broken Hearts, as going to be at Broken Hearts Club. I think it's just Broken Hearts, but I like to call it the Broken Hearts Club. Todd Daywall going to be there. That's, of course, Saturday night, October the 11th. So a couple of things to check out. Of course, we're going to have some more stuff coming up next week. A bigger portion of this segment, we kind of decided to do this at the last minute because we were like, hey, you know what? Let's talk about some of the artists and stuff. And there's a lot of tours and stuff that I'm going to be going to. Like I just saw Bailey Zimmerman a couple of weeks ago. Jordan Davis, Mitchell Tenpenny, Vincent Mason, and Mackenzie Carpenter are all going to be at the Allstate Arena tonight. So I'll be there as well. And we'll have some footage from that to share with you throughout the course of some of the upcoming shows. That's those special episodes that we talked about that we're going to drop here and there. But again, thank you guys so much. Remember, chase and follow your dreams as hard as you possibly can. Don't let anyone tell you no, because you're the one that's in control of your destiny. And controlling my own destiny here. Thank you guys so much for all you do, the comments, the likes, the subscribes, telling people about the show, listening to the podcast, listening to the playlist, liking the playlist, subscribing to the playlist. All of that stuff is awesome. It helps so much, and it gets it out. Gets the word out about New on Music Row and, the other stuff that we do here as well. The Rise Network is growing, and it's growing quickly. We're going to have some new shows coming up as well, too. So make sure that you get into that and find it all. Of course, you can check us out on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. And you know what? I mean, we've got some great stuff here. We've got New on Music Row, the show you're watching now. We've got Can I Call You Dad, which I don't understand why you have to ask to be called Dad, but, whatever. Especially when it's your son. But I don't know. Anyway. I know it's a reference to Rodney Dangerfield from some movie or something like that, but whatever. And then we've got the Lunchtime Trivia, which hopefully you're watching that or listening to, playing along as well. Remember, the points don't count. It's just about having fun at lunchtime. And then last but not least, there's this other podcast out there. It's called Cheesy Popcorn. It's with me and my buddy Anavar. We talk about movies and, probably like that as well too. So give that a like on Spotify, Apple Music. I think we're on YouTube too, but that one's just in podcast form. But again, thank you guys again so much for listening, watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, doing all the things you do. It's only because of you that I'm here and able to do what I'm able to do. And I thank you guys so much. You can only catch the Rise Network right here, or you can only catch New on Music Row on the Rise Network right here on the Rise Network. That's it. That's going to be the show. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next time. And until then, I'll see you on the flip side.